Om Nama Srashtham Manumapi Shachi Putram Atra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Urupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Prasita Kripaya Sri Gurum Tang Natosmi Nindantam Pulakotkarena Vikasat Nipa Prasuna Chavim Pradhi Kritya Bhujadvayam Hari Hari Tyuchair Vadantam Moho Nrityantam Galadasru Nirjarachayai Sinchantamurvitaram Gayantam Nijaparshadaih Parivritam Tangorameva Stumaha. Aribih paripalitah pravalita kasanandamalokitah pratyasham sumanah falodaya vido samodamamoditah Brindaranya bhuvi prakasha madhura sarvatishayi sriya radha madhavayo pramodayatu mam ullalasa kalpadrumaha. Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath He Jai Gosai Rakuri Charana Vandam Jahite Vignanash Avishta Puram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, moving right along, as they say, in Anuched 7, this is Anuched 7, and we're doing now number 4, and the topic here is Sākṣātkārābhāsa. All right. So we've been talking about that even talk about purity of heart and the transformation of the senses to serve the Lord. I hope that was in 7.3. I think I kind of rushed through 7.3 a little bit. But anyway, we continue on, and now he's saying that he's going to talk about those people who see Krishna but don't really see him, right? So the first problem was people who see Krishna, but they still appear to have sins or appear to have material suffering. So that was the first problem with the idea that seeing Krishna rids you of all your material suffering. So then why do some people suffer even after seeing Krishna? As in the case of the Pandavas in hell and so on, or in Chitraket or in Muchukunda's sin for killing animals, that Krishna says he will still have to pay for those sins even after seeing him. So these were a couple of problems that came up, and Jiva Goswami settled with those in one way or another, saying that basically this kind of thing does not happen to Yudhishthira and the rest. Well, except we'll see another example will come up later on here, I think in 7.6 or something like that, when it talks about the role of Leela. So there's a role that Leela plays in all this as well. So we'll just let's leave that aside for the time being. So here it says, Ata yad avataradau ashuddham chittanam api tat Sākṣātkārābhāsa srūyate tat kalu tad abhasa eva gyeyaha. Okay, so an abhasa means a shadow or a semblance of a thing, the shadow of a thing, the reflection of a thing. It's not the real thing. It's a facsimile. It's the fake imitation, right? It's not the real thing. So that's the abhasa. So we talk about namabhasa, we talk about rasabhasa and all this. It's not a genuine rasa. It's not the genuine name. It's not the genuine article. You say, I'm chanting the holy name, but it's not really the holy name because something is missing in your capacity to perceive the holy name. So the holy name depends on your perception of it. It has its own potency. The holy name has its own potency to reveal itself. But it's playing a game with all of us. And so for some people, it acts on their will, it acts on their desire to understand better in order to perfect their lives, to perfect their vision so that they can actually see God in all things. And so it would be a goal that you could set for yourself. But those who don't have a purity of vision, even if they see Krishna during his avatar time, then that's not really seeing him. So that was connected to the idea of pure hearts, right? The ashuddha chittanam. So those who are not pure in heart, even if they see Krishna, they don't really see him. Right? So the complex thing is arising here in this discussion. Krishna's darshan is supposed to rid you of desires. But unless you're free of desires, you can't see Krishna. Well, so what's the sequence here? Well, first of all, at least one has to be making progress towards freedom from any impurities. And then when Krishna gives his vision to you, then that rids you of the remaining impurities. But this is not something that happens once and once only, because the Leela is eternal. So Leela is eternal means that it's always revealing new ways to improve. So any need for improvement means an imperfection. Things are perfect now until I notice that there's some imperfection. And when there's some imperfection, then I have to correct that imperfection. And once that correction that correction has been made, whoops, there you go, there's another improvement that can be made. So in the world of service to God, improvements can always be made. At any rate, those who haven't, well, now he's going to explain that a little bit. So what does he say? Krishna quotes Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakashah sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. So this is a general truth about Krishna, that I am not revealed to everyone. I'm covered by my yoga maya. So here this yoga maya, sometimes people have a technical term, it just means that no, this is my power, my mystic power, my yoga maya, that I can cover myself. And even though I'm present everywhere, nobody sees me. And even though I'm the underlying ground of being, nobody nobody recognizes me. Even though I'm present in every living being, in every atom, nobody sees me. So that's because of my yoga maya. They don't have the power to see. They have the wrong kind of senses. Their senses are being activated by the external potency, not by the internal potency. In order to see Krishna, one has to want to see him. Just like a person who's looking for gold, he has to be looking for gold in order to see it. If he's not looking for it, he probably won't see it. And that's often the case with so many things. So if one is looking for God, just like in the Bible it says, knock and it shall be opened, seek and you shall find. Right? That's the if that's the orientation you want to give to the world, if you want to seek the underlying truth, the reality, the underlying ground of all being, to understand your place in this world and your relationship to it, and what you ought to do in consequence of that, and what you can hope to achieve in terms of humanity. What perfection of humanity is on offer for the devotee of Krishna, for the one who seeks the personal absolute, the all beautiful and the all loving. But Krishna is not visible to all. Yoga Maya Samavritaha. So when it is said, I'm going to read the translation here. When it is said that people of impure heart saw Krishna during his avatar, it should be understood that they experienced a mere semblance of seeing him. Sākṣātkārābhāsa. It is not seeing Bhagavan in the real sense. Thus, these people do not attain the result of seeing him, that is to say, mukti. Okay, well that's a parenthetical statement there that's not in the original. But the idea was that it's not seeing. So actually, this subject was discussed in Krishna Sandarbha. A lot of the verses that are quoted here, including this one, Naham Prakashak Sarvasya, these are all quoted there in Krishna Sandarbha, where the same discussion comes up, but in a slightly different manner. There it said that they did not see the real Krishna, that's all. What they saw was a false Krishna, a facsimile of Krishna. So it's not just the seeing that's an abhasa, darshan, Sākṣātkārābhāsa. Because the Sākṣātkar, so what they're seeing, that's not the real Krishna. Because to see the real Krishna, one has to have the, like we were talking in the previous section, right? That it was that tad bhakti vishesha avishkrita tad ichhamaya tadiya swaprakashata shakti prakasha eva mula rupa sa. So the adhikar, the qualification for seeing Krishna, that was mainly his power of revelation, of self-revelation, that was a function of his desire, which was provoked into existence or activated by the devotion of the devotees. So without all those elements being present, one cannot see Krishna, even if Krishna is standing in front of him. And indeed, Krishna is standing in front of every one of us. Right? So seeing him in the real sense means to see him in his uncovered nature. Right? So where your senses are attuned to recognizing, the capacity to recognize that this is God. So the Bhagavad Gita says, Naham prakashak sarvasya yogamaya samavritaha murhoyam nabhijanati lokoyam mamajamavyayam. So being covered by my yoga maya, I'm not revealed to everyone. And so this confused world does not know me, who am unborn and imperishable. Also from the Uttarakhanda of Padma Purana, Yogibhira drishyate bhaktya na bhaktya drishyate kvachit drashtum na shakyo roshat cha matsarat va janardana. So Bhagavan Janardana is seen by the yogis through devotion and is never visible through non-devotion. He cannot be seen through anger or envy. Well, that's an interesting thing because we've been talking, of course, and just at the end part of the Bhakti Sandarbha about Raganuga Bhakti, and now he's going to talk about Shishupal here as well. So you remember back into the end of Bhakti Sandarbha, where the passage from the 7th canto, 1st chapter of Narada Muni's teachings to Yudhishthira, where the question of Shishupala was raised, that how is it that Shishupala received liberation even after being so insulting towards Krishna. So that question actually was raised in the 4th canto, in the 4th chapter or the 4th section of Vishnu Purana, and he's going to come to that in a moment. So we had the question: is Krishna seen through anger, or fear, or hatred? Matsarat, Bhayat, Bhayat Kangsaha. So those are all lauded in the 7th canto, 1st chapter, because they're so powerful. It says if you hate someone, then your concentration on that person is much greater than almost any other. And certainly by being told you must think of somebody, and like in Vaidhi Bhakti, that's not nearly as strong as the concentration that arises when one has the focus coming from a strong vibration of hatred or a strong vibration of fear. So so this is why justification for kama, the gopis who had a desire for Krishna, we should wish that we could feel such strength of desire for Krishna as the gopis felt for him out of lust. All right, so adarshanang chanavatara samaye vyapakasyapi darshanabhavaha. So outside of the period of an avatar, Bhagavan is not visible despite being all available. So during that time, no one sees him. So that's the non-seeing. So avatara samaye tu paramanande pi dukkha dattvam manorame pi bhishanatvam sarva suhridyapi duhritvam ityadi viparita darshanam eva. Right? So in the time of the non-avatar, when the avatar is not going on, then nobody can see Krishna. But when Krishna is present and they see him, well, they see the opposite of what is there. So even though Krishna is Paramananda, he is the supreme bliss, they see him as someone who's giving them distress, right? Like the enemies of, like Kamsa and so on. And they see Krishna as someone who's giving them distress. Manoramepi bhishamatvam, bhishanatvam. So even though he's beautiful and handsome, right? And they see him as being terrible. And sarva suhridyapi, even though he is the friend of all and the well-wisher of all. He's the well-wisher of all. There we go. This is so we're following the, right. Let me go back, sorry. I was just digging out the verse. I put it in another place. So here, right? So during the avatar period, he appears in ways that are contrary to his true nature. So this is, of course, the sort of a reference to the verse from the 10th canto when Krishna enters the arena Malalana Mashani Nrinang Naravarak Strinang Smaro Murtimam Gopanang Swajano Satam Kshitibujam Shasta Swapitro Shishu Mrityur Bhojapate Virada Vidushan Tatvam Param Yoginam Vrishninam Paradeva Deti Vidito Rangam Gatak Sagrajaha. So as Krishna entered the arena with his elder brother Balaram, he was recognized differently by each observer. The wrestlers saw him as a bolt of lightning. The bolt of lightning, the Ashani, the Vajra, an adamantine, something you can't break through, like a diamond, the hardest thing. The ordinary menfolk saw him as the best of men, while the women saw him as the incarnation of Cupid. The cowherds thought of him as their own relative, while the evil kings saw him as their punisher, and his parents as their own child. King Kamsa recognized him as a death incarnate, while the ignorant thought of him as something vast, beyond their understanding. The yogis perceived him as the absolute truth, and the Vrishnis as their worshipable deity. So Tad, now he goes on to explain. So this is the different ways different people are seeing him. So those who see him as Krishna, as their beloved, they're seeing him through the eyes of devotion. Whereas the others who don't have the eyes of devotion, they're seeing him as something the opposite to what he is. He is not, he is the very form of love, but they see him as something that is a danger to them, a danger to their life, as someone who is thinking of doing them ill, of causing them ill, rather than being their most dear friend and well-wisher. So tad aprakashe yoga maya prakashe cha moolam karanam tad bhakta paradadi maya purusha tichitta swacham. So we return to the idea of purity of heart. So the purity of heart, if it is contaminated by aparadhas, by offenses to Krishna's devotees, then that is the fundamental cause of his not being visible and of Yoga Maya being activated. Right? So if you want Krishna to see you, you have to activate his desire to reveal himself to you. But if there is Vaishnav aparad, well, then that diminishes his desire to reveal himself to you. There's a price. The price is to be free of Vaishnava aparad. You can't serve every Vaishnava, but you can avoid committing aparads to every Vaishnava. So yat kalu tadaninantane tasya sarvatrika prakashepi vajra lepayate. So it means that even at the time of Krishna's incarnation, when Krishna was present, it was just like vajra lepa. So you see, vajra is something impenetrable. So vajra lepa, like cement, like a cement covering, impenetrable. That's vajra lepa. So an impenetrable concrete surface separates your heart from the ability to see Krishna. That is the result of offenses. So offenses have been talked about in Priti Sandarbha. We'll not go over them again. So this impurity, the root reason behind his non-manifestation, or the manifestation of his yogamaya potency, is the impurity of the perceiver's heart in the form of offenses to his devotees. This impurity covers their awareness as hard as a layer of cement and makes it impossible for them to see Bhagavan, even though at that time he is manifest to everyone everywhere. So everyone can see him, but they can't see him. That's the point. They can see him, but their capacity to see him is taken away. It's like you have to be educated, right? A scientist is looking in his test tube or in his microscope or in his other machines, and he sees things and he recognizes patterns and he recognizes aberrances and so on, because his mind has been educated to see like that. So yoga is also a way of educating the mind to recognize and to see the presence of God. So if God is right in front of you, let's say if you think God is like an objective reality, right? God is an objective reality like the table right here that's right in front of me, right? So I can see that table and you can see that table. Both of us see this table. But God is the most charged item. Every word has meaning, but some words are charged with such vast amounts of meaning, it's impossible to understand simply by saying the word what exactly is meant. God is a word like that. Sex is a word like that. Love is a word like that. Words that have such have been meditated upon and have been worried about and contemplated by thousands and millions of people for thousands and millions of years. Well, such things are not, they are one word, but they encapsulate a whole universe. So God is also something to want to understand or to see God. That also requires, let's say, scientific training. You can recognize. So that if you see God, if you see a God, then you recognize him. You wouldn't want to, like they often joke about Jesus, if he came in the world today, that they would probably put him in prison, call him a hippie, a communist hippie. What's he doing giving free food? We don't want all these poverty-stricken people hanging around in our neighborhood. Go. So they say, would people recognize him if he were present here today? Right? So that's the question. Would you recognize him? God, if you saw God, would you recognize him? Well, that's the point that Jiva Goswami is making. And so he says, what's this thing that's going to... Well, now, God is the one who's in control. He can either reveal himself or not reveal himself. It's he who's choosing not to reveal himself to you. But he's not choosing not to reveal himself to you because you're responding to him in a way that is somehow or another impure. Mm-hmm. So if you come to God and say, I don't believe in you, well, God's fine with that. So you don't believe in him, so you don't see him, you don't understand him, you don't know him. You're cut off. And you think that's okay, you think that's a good thing. You think you're very smart to have seen through the whole God hoax. And God is saying, go your way, have fun. See what it gets you. See what it gets you. See what and I know that there are many godless people, let's say, who praise the life of godlessness. And I bow down to them, because of course we don't think that anything is really godless, that God comes in various forms, and he has a tendency to come as a substitute. It's like saying you can't, that you have, that I'm not a breather myself, I don't believe in breathing, right? Well, you can say I don't believe in breathing, but that's actually, you can't stop breathing for all that. And the same thing with God. You may deny God's existence, but if existence itself is the coterminous with God, then your very existence is the proof of God's existence. You can't do without. You may claim to do without. You may claim to be intellectually without it, but you can't, archetypally, you can't be without it. It's like saying, I can do without the father archetype, or I can do without the mother archetype, or I can do without the animus archetype. You can't do without it. Jung was clever. He saw this. He said that God is the ego archetype, the aham, the self archetype. And then it's very interesting that the self archetype bifurcates into two. The self is the individual self, the one who is in need of light. And then this other self who is residing right next to this self, who is as close as the jugular vein, as Muhammad put it. That the supreme truth, the supreme Lord, is as close to you as your jugular vein, right? The two birds on the same tree. So to be able to see not only in your own tree, but everywhere. And that's the science of seeing God, the science of yoga. So why aparad? Well, we don't need to go into that too much. If things are dependent on the will of God to reveal himself, he wants to reveal himself to his heart will open up to devotion and to friendship. So if you come, love me, love my dog, Bhaktivedanta Swami used to like to say. Love me, love my dog. If you love me, then you'll love my devotees. So don't go finding fault with the devotees. If you go find fault with the devotees, well, let's look at you. Finding fault with Yudhishthira, and finding fault with Chitraketu, and finding fault with all these other great devotees, saying that they were Muchukunda. He was still a sinner even after seeing Krishna. No. Don't misunderstand things here. The devotees, Krishna Bhakti is alive because of the devotees. Krishna Bhakti is alive in us because of the presence of devotees. If you distrust the devotees, I was saying this to somebody the other day whose guru is being criticized. Right? He said, look, your guru is someone from whom you get your mercy. If you still love the path of yoga, if you still love the path of bhakti, if you still aspire for Radha and Krishna's lotus feet, well then you can't diminish, let your faith in your guru diminish. So leave aside all that, all those things that people are saying, and say, all I know is this. I know that I got bhakti, I got the seed of devotion from my guru. So why am I going to spend my time finding fault? And if I find fault, it'll only diminish my faith in bhakti. So I hang on to this bhakti, because whether my guru said it or not, 1,000 other great souls, the parampara, they said it. Rupa and Sanatan said it. So I accept their verdict. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it. Nityananda Prabhu said it. So I accept their verdict. All right. So everybody can see him, but some people see him. Those who have offenses, tough luck, you don't get to see him. Ataeva muktir hitva ityadi lakshana sya avyapter natasya Sākṣātkārābhāsasya mukti sangyatvam api. All right, so we're just saying that the Sākṣātkara, that was equivalent to liberation. So now he says, so we had the verse mukti hitvanyatha rupang swarupena vyavastiti. So that was the definition that was given of mukti in the Bhagavatam. So he said that swarupena vyavastiti, to be situated in one's own swarup, and hitvanyatha rupam, to have given up all other senses of identity. So that says that this doesn't apply here. That this definition is not sufficient. In other words, for this darshanam of Krishna, if it did not produce anyata rupam hitva, and it did not produce swarupena vyavastiti, well then it's not real mukti and it's not real darshana. Your relationship with Krishna is that you are his eternal servant. Dasosmyaham. Krishnasya dasosmyaham. So I'm Krishna's dasa. So if I see Krishna and I don't feel like his servant, then obviously I didn't see him. Right? It's like once I was supposed to meet a sannyasi and I didn't recognize him, and he was quite short and young, and I thought that he was a brahmachari. He came and he was standing right next to me, and I said, well, when will I see this Maharaj? And he said, I am that Maharaj. Right? I was expecting someone older and more, a little, I was expecting something different. And so because I was expecting something different, I saw something different. I didn't recognize him. So if he hadn't informed me, I wouldn't have, if he hadn't been kind enough to me to inform me of his identity, I wouldn't have known who he was. So that's the thing. You can see Krishna with your eyes, but that's not seeing Krishna if you don't recognize the relationship. There's no relationship there. Right? There has to be some kind of relationship, because seeing Krishna means to see in terms of a particular kind of relationship with him. So when he sees Krishna, it's like Sākṣātkārābhāsa. So you often hear people saying like that, oh yes, your guru, I saw him once in 1973. We passed on the street. Or I saw him at a meeting. Right? But that was Sākṣātkārābhāsa. So just like Namabhasa, there's some benefit can come from it. There's definitely some benefit from it, but it's incomplete. It's abhas. It's just a semblance of that. So ata eva. So now here he tells a story that's from the Vishnu Purana. So this is a bit interesting. I think we'll go down this passage here. Ata eva. So Sri Vishnu Purana. So this is actually in the 106 of the Krishna Sandarbha, where he's talking about the subject. So he's repeating the same subject as in Krishna Sandarbha 106. That's also one of these huge long anuchets. So there he's talking about not really seeing Krishna. They see Krishna and they see his rupa abhas. It's not his real form. It's some semblance of his form. So Ataeva Sri Vishnu Purane Tat Charupa Mityadi Gadyena Yadyapi Shishupasya Tad Darshanam Uktam Tatapi Nirdoshana Darshanam Tu Antakale Eva Uktam. Alright? So it says in the Vishnu Purana, it talks about Shishupala seeing Krishna, but then afterwards, after describing a little bit what went on after he saw him, how he really saw him at the time of death when he was killed by Krishna. So that section. So for this reason, even though it is described in Vishnu Purana that Shishupala saw Bhagavan, it further says that he only had a flawless vision of him at the time of his death. So that passage goes like this. Atma Vadhaya Yavat Bhagavad Hasta Chakrangshu Malojjvalam Akshaya Tejah Swarupam Brahma Bhutam Apagata Dveshadi Dosham Bhagavantam Adrakshit. So when Bhagavan lifted his hand with the chakra in it, and his entire body was illuminated by the shining Sudarshan chakra, and it was revealed to him that this form of Narayan, this form of Krishna that was standing there, that was about to kill him, that this was in actual fact, Narayan. It was the transcendental deity who was putting an end to his life of suffering and hatred. So that Akshaya Tejaka Swarupam Brahma Bhutam, he recognized him as Brahman. He recognized him as the supreme truth. And so then Apagata Dveshadi Dosham. So then all the hatred and all the suffering that had covered his ability to see Krishna, that was all removed. And Bhagavantam Adrakshit, he saw him, right? So Shishupala, free of defects such as hatred, saw Bhagavan, the supreme Brahman, whose form is imperishable brilliance, and who was shining from the garland of rays emanating from the disk thrown by him to destroy him. Well, I think it's just before he threw it. He's about to throw it, right? He's about to throw it. So he's looking and he's seeing, and there in that one moment when he sees Krishna standing with the chakra, and the light is emanating out of this chakra, and so Krishna's body, his dark body, is illuminated by a sudden surge of light. And so when Shishupala is looking at him, suddenly he sees Krishna bathed in the effulgence arising not only from the chakra but from his own body. And in that moment, this effulgence, this vision of effulgence, he suddenly recognized that this Krishna is actually the personified form of Brahman. And when that happened, his knowledge was complete. And his knowledge being completed allowed him to see Krishna as he actually was. So this was Shishupala, this is another version. Shishupala, becoming free from the defects of envy, saw Bhagavan, the supreme Brahman of imperishable effulgence, made more brilliant by the rays of the disk he held in his hand as he prepared to kill him. That one, I like that one better. So let's just have a look at that chapter. What are we time here? Okay, we got some time here. So let's look at this chapter from the 15th chapter of the 4th section, Chaturtha Angsha. It says, Shishupalasya Purva Purva Janma Vrittantasya Varnanam. So this is a description of Shishupala's previous life. So this comes in, Maitreya asks a question. Hiranyakashipu Tvecha Ravana Tvecha Vishnuna Avapa Nihato Bhogan Aprapyan Amarairapi Nalabhata Tatra Chaiveha Sayujam Sakatam Punaha Sampraptaha Shishupalatve Sayujam Shashvate Haro Etadichamyaham Shrotum Sarvadharma Pritangvara Kautuhala Parenaitat Prishto Me Bhaktumarhasi. So he's saying that in the previous births, who was Shishupala in his previous births? He was Hiranyakashipu and Ravana. So in those two incarnations, he was. So the question is that when they were killed by Nrsimha and by Rama, then they went on to enjoy riches and comforts that even the gods did not know. So why did they not attain Sayujya Mukti? Because when Krishna kills someone, then he's supposed to give them Sayujya Mukti. So why didn't Hiranyakashipu and Ravana attain Sayujya Mukti? Why did they again come and take birth as Shishupala? And only after taking birth as Shishupala, being killed by Krishna, did he attain the Sayujya Mukti. So I want to know the answer to this question, says Maitreya. I'm very curious about it. Please tell me what is the reason. So now that's the question that's being asked. And so what does Parashara answer? Daiteshwarasya vadhaya Akhila lokotpatti stiti vinasha karina purvam tanugrahanam kurvata nisinga rupam avishkritam. Well, he says that Hiranyakashipu, he was the king of the Daityas, and in order to kill him, Krishna or Bhagavan took form as Nrsinga. And that was in order to, he is the person who is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the universe. But he specifically took the form of Nrsinga to kill him. So tatracha hiranyakashipur vishnurayam ityetang na manasi abhut. But in this particular case, Hiranyakashipu did not have the mentality that this is Vishnu. He didn't recognize him as Vishnu. So niratishaya punya samudbhutam etat sattva jatam iti. But rather he considered that this was some particular manifestation of some creature that had arisen out of an excess, out of an extreme amount of punya, of piety. So that's the way he saw Vishnu. So Raja Udareka Preritaikagramatis Tad Bhavna Yogat Tato Avapta Vadahitukim Niratishayam Evakila Trilokyadikya Dharinim Dashanatve Bhoga Sampadam Avapa. So the Rajaguna was strong in him, but that gave him a single-mindedness, and so through his concentration on him, he he attained in his next life, as a result of meditating on him, without full knowledge, he, as simply as the person by whom he had been killed, he attained the riches and comforts that were unequaled anywhere in the three worlds in the form of Ravana. Okay, so by meditating on Nrsingadev, who had killed him, even though he did not see him as Narayana, he took it as being the cause of his attaining to a very nice, beneficial, rich and powerful life as Ravana. So natu sa tasmin anadi nidane parabrahma bhute bhagavati analambini krite manasas tallayam avapa. So because of that, he didn't, he even though he was because his mind was not fixed on Bhagavan as being the supreme Brahman who is without beginning or end, and therefore he did not merge with him. He did not become one with him. So evam dasananatvepi ananga paradhinataya janaki samasakta chetasa bhagavata dasharati rupa dharina hatasya tad rupam darshanam evasit nayam achyuta iti asaktir vipadyato antahkarane manusha buddhir eva kevalam asya abhut. Again, long sentence. But where does it go? Evam dasanatvepi. So even though he had attained the form of Ravana, the 10-headed one, he ananga paradhinataya, because of being overcome by the force of desire. Janaki samasakta chetasa, by, oh, wait a second. Well, that looks like it goes with, he didn't just going with Bhagavan, so it doesn't make it very, this is what he's thinking. This is what Ravana is thinking. He's thinking that Bhagavan, they call him Bhagavan, but this Rama is so attached to Sita, to Janaki, because he is under the influence of sexual desire. So he has attained, he has got this form of Dasarathi, of the son of Dasaratha. But when he saw him, because he thought of him in that way, he never thought that this is Achyuta, this is God. He didn't think that this is Bhagavan. And because of that, he didn't have any particular affection or any attachment towards him one way or the other. And therefore, he only thought of him as a human being. Sort of 2 points. So he didn't think of, he didn't recognize him as Brahman. He thought of him as a human being. So in both cases, although he came into contact with Bhagavan, that he didn't attain the full benefit, the mukti that could come from it. So finally he says, Punarapi, Achyuta vinipata matra phalam, Akhila bhumandala shlagya chedi rajakule, Janma, Vyahata Ishwaryam Shishupalatvepi Avapa. So then in the third birth, right, from the seeing, from the result of being killed by Krishna, just by the results of being killed by Krishna, he took birth in the in a family that was praised throughout the world, the family of Chedi, the royal family of Chedi. And there he enjoyed unlimited opulences. So now this is one of the verses that's quoted before, and it has, this line has a bit of a problem. It's got two different readings, and I'm not sure which reading is the better one. Now it says, Tatra tu akhilanam eva sa bhagavan nam twankara karanam abhavat. So it's, and then the other sentence, the other version is Tatra tu akilanam eva bhagavan nam karanani abhavat. Anyway, what it seems to say is that he took every single name of God as being that he was speaking to him at all the time. But tatascha tatkala kritanam tesham asheshanam evachuta namnam anavaratam aneka janmasu vardita vidveshanu bandi chitto vinindana santarjanadishu ucharanam akarot. All right? So because he was a relative of Krishna, so he knew Krishna. And so he had heard Krishna's names being glorified. And when he heard Krishna's names being glorified, he says, yeah, you're some Bhagavan. Yeah, you're some God. Like that. He would say the names of God. Oh yeah, you're Jagadishwar. Some Jagadishwar you are. And as he was doing that, right, he would utter these names with Vinindana, Santarjanadishu, the pronunciation. It was the way that he intoned the words. He would say Krishna's names, but he would say them in a way that was unpleasant and was meant to mock or meant to accuse him. Oh, you're the friend of the most fallen. Just look what you're doing. Right? What good are you doing to anybody? Look at this. You know, everything you do, you're claiming this, claiming that. I know what you've been up to. You were playing with the gopis. Right? So this is the way that Shishupal is carrying on. So Tachcha Rupam, so now this is the way he sees Krishna. So this is the first seeing. Tachcha Rupam Utfulla Padma Dala Amala Akshamati Ujvala Pita Vastradhari Amala Kirita Keyura Hara Katakadi Shobhitam Udara Chatur Bahu Shankha Chakra Gadadharam Ati Prarudha Vairanu Bhavat Atana Bhojana Snanasana Shayanadishu Ashesha Vastantareshu Nanyatra Upaya Yau Asya Chetasaha. Nice sentence there. Right? So Tachcha Rupam, that very form, so Krishna's form that he saw in front of him, what is it like? Well, in reality, it was Utfulla Padma Dala Amalakshamati. Krishna's eyes are wide open like a lotus flower, the petals are wide open in the sun. Udara Chatur Bahu Shankha Chakra Gadadharam. In his four sturdy arms are the Shankha, Chakra, Padma, and Gada. And then but because of his Ati Prarudha Vairanubhava, so this Vairanubhava, right? This is what we saw there in the 7th canto, 1st chapter in the Bhakti Sandarbha, when it introduces the subject of Raganuga Bhakti. So this is the Vaira. So Chaitya is known for Vaira. So this little section here in the beginning of the 15th chapter of the 4th canto of the 4th Angsha of Vishnu Purana, that's giving the foretaste here to that 1st chapter of the 7th canto. In order to explain the way that different people see the same form of Krishna in different ways. So what happened when he behaved, because of his Vairanu Bandha, this Ati Prarudha, right? We see the Arudha, this Arudha Mahabhava of the gopis, Rudha Bhava, we talk about. So Ati Prarudha, really, really top, reached its ultimate peak. It's matured, it's like a boil that's ready to burst. So Ati Prarudha Vairanubhavat Artana. So whenever he was walking around, Bhojana, when he was eating, Snana, when he was taking bath, Asana, when he was sitting down to meditate or whatever, Shayana, when he was lying down, in all the activities of the day, Asheshavan Avastantareshu, in every circumstance of the day, his mind did not stop thinking of Krishna at all. Tatastam evakrosheshu ucharayan stameva hridayena dharayan atmabadhaya yavat. So this is a sentence, this is another one that was quoted. This is the one that Jiva Goswami quoted, right? So tatastam evakrosheshu ucharayan tam eva hridayena dharayan atmabadhaya yavat bhagavad hasta chakrangshu malojvalam akshaya tejak swarupam brahma bhutam apagata dveshadi dosham bhagavantam adrakshit. Right? So while he was pronouncing or with such anger and hatred, he was uttering Krishna's names, and he was thinking of him in his heart in that same kind of attitude. Then Krishna, when he appeared ready to kill him, and in his hand was held the Sudarshan Chakra, which was sending out rays of effulgence. And so it bathed in that effulgence, it was clear that this was the Supreme Brahman itself. And so with that, all his anger and hatred disappeared, and he saw Bhagavan. So Tavatscha Bhagavata Chakrena Ashu Vyapaditas Tatsmarana Dagdakhilagha Sanchayo Bhagavatantam Upanitas Tasmineva Layam Upayayo. So then when that happened, all his sins were destroyed, and he was killed by the Lord's chakra. Then all his sins had been removed by that moment of seeing Krishna and recognizing him. And so that for that reason, the Lord himself took him into himself, and he there became merged into the Lord's existence. Jiva Goswami says here, this is from the Krishna Sandarbha. So Atma Vinashaya iti Atmanaha Swasya Shishupalasya iti Arthaha So just that the first word, he uses the word Atma Vinasha, so he just wants to make sure that Atma here means Shishupala. So Bhagavata Astam Kshiptam Yad Chakram Tasyangshu Malaya Ujvalam Yatasyat Tata Adrakshit. So he saw Krishna with having thrown the chakra, so it says, and that he was lit up by the effulgence emanating from that chakra. Yataha apagata dvesha adi dosha, because he had been freed from all his hatred and anger and envy, enmity. So taya tasya drishtau ujvalayang satyam apagata dveshadi doshak san duri krita mayaka nijavaranam bhagavantam adrakshit iti artha. So the point was that because he had become free, seeing Krishna in that effulgent state, all his final dvesha, his hatred, that was all gone away. In other words, that the covering by Maya that prevented him from seeing the Lord, that was removed, and therefore he saw him. So kincha tanmate kalpantara gata tatkatayam shishupaladi dvaya mukti vishayaka maitreya parashara prashnottara ritya jaya vijaya yoho shapa sangatir nasti iti anyao eva tau ashuro geyo. Yuktam chatat pratikalpam tayoka shapa kadarthanaya ayuktatvat. So he's saying that some people think that this particular Shishupala was not Jaya, or an incarnation of Jaya and Vijaya, and that the Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and that these people, they're not necessarily Jaya and Vijaya in each birth, but sometimes that they come in, sometimes it's an actual demon. And Jiva says that's probably okay. That's not a problem, because why should God have to send his devotees to do that every single time? So there we go. So, well, I don't know whether I should bother reading here. Let's see. Okay, I'll read. Well, we have time. Oh, we're running out of time, so let's just skip. I'll put it on the web page, on the blog. That will be Horace Wilson's, H.H. Wilson's translation of that section of the Vishnu Purana. And so there's just a little bit left here. So he says, Etadanto nranam klesho yadvamana kshiko charaha. So that was a verse that was quoted just a little bit earlier. So ityadikam cha nrishu ye svacha chitta ye cha tad bhakta paradetara dosham malina chittas tesham klesha nashasya tadatva pekshaya yetu anyadrisha satesham tananashasyon mukata pekshayaiva. All right, well, it's saying here, we quoted this verse earlier, but this was Shruta Dev, and so Shruta Dev was asking for a blessing, or was answering the request to ask for a blessing with that verse, Satvam Shadhi Swavrityan. So please instruct us, your servants, what we should do for you. Kim Deva Karavamahe. Etad Anto Nranam Klish. Why? Because there's no more suffering. What should we do for you now? There's nothing. All our sufferings have come to an end because you have become visible to our eyes. So he says, for all human beings, that's the case. Nranam. So he says, O Deva, please instruct us, your servants, in what we should do for you when you appear before a human being's eyes. All their troubles meet an end. So that was quoted at the end of 7.2, it's discussed there. So the statement, when you become visible to the eyes, then the misery of men comes to an end, is spoken about the destruction of the misery of those humans whose hearts were already pure, or those whose hearts were impure because of some defects other than offenses to Bhagavan's devotee, which awaited the moment when they saw him to be destroyed. In other words, there were some They were just some leftover things that needed to be destroyed when they saw Krishna. But as for those who are different from these two types, in other words, those who are offensive, the verse speaks about the commencement of the destruction of their miseries. Right? So it's just, it doesn't mean that if they see Krishna, even though they might not see him fully, they're getting something from that seeing of him. So they're getting some benefit, even though they might not notice it. It may not be the full benefit, but some benefit has to be there, even if their immediate perception is negative. So the verse that was quoted from that same chapter earlier on, so to show this, that Tebhyah swa vikshana vinashta tamisra drigbhyah kshemang triloka gururartha dishang chayachan shrinvan diganta dhavalam swayasho shubhagnam Gitam suraya nibiragat shanakair videhan. So this is the way that Krishna is making his way to Videha. So that was when he's going to see Shrutadev. So it was the same chapter earlier on. He's going to see Bahulashva and Shrutadev, two devotees who live in Videha, Mithila. So Tebhyah swavikshana vinashta tamisra drigbhyah Kshemang triloka gurur artha drishang chayachan Shrinvan diganta dhavalam Swayasho shubhagnam Gitam suraya nibiragat shanakair vihidehan. So he's walking along, he's just spreading goodwill and ananda everywhere. He cannot do otherwise. Sri Krishna, the teacher of the three worlds, conferred insight into reality, as well as the ultimate welfare to people whose vision had become free from ignorance due to the sight of having seen Bhagavan with their own eyes. So all the benefit that came from it. And so that point is proven, and also it's because, so the idea is that the process started. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, the process has started, and it's still going on. Right? The uncovering of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the revelation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's revelation. Has Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's revelation been fully revealed? Is there any reason why it cannot take 500 years or 1,000 years or 10,000 years for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principal idea to become clear to humanity as a whole? The Buddha, right, it says that the Buddha made some gesture to Ananda, one of his more intimate disciples, but nobody could understand it. And only 500 years later, the meaning of that gesture was revealed in the Mahayana. So that's the thing, is that revelation is something that goes on within a tradition. So Krishna, the teacher of the three worlds, conferred insight into reality, as well as the ultimate welfare to people whose vision had become free from ignorance due to having seen Bhagavan with their own eyes. And so the second reason for that is also that with Shishupala, the process had begun in the first two births when he was killed by Krishna in other forms. But it was only when he saw Krishna actually as Shishupala that all the impurities were eliminated. So he was saying that it's not necessarily Jai and Vijay in that particular case. So here's Babaji's comment. After explaining the qualification for realizing Bhagavan, Sri Jiva raises a pertinent issue. When Bhagavan appears on earth, then everyone can see him. Therefore, what is the great importance of having the requisite qualification to see him? He replies that seeing by unqualified people is as good as not seeing. It is like a novice person looking at a Picasso painting or listening to a sitar performance by Pandit Ravi Shankar. They do not appreciate and understand anything about the painting or the music, and they really cannot appreciate in the same way as an expert. In the same way, when unqualified people see Krishna, they cannot understand his sweetness or his majesty. They think of him as another mortal being, maybe with a little, some extraordinary character. They cannot understand his true nature. It is only by bhakti that he can be known. For others, he remains covered by his yoga maya. In reality, it is not that Krishna is covered by yoga maya, but that the non-devotee's capacity to see him is covered. Just as a small cloud covers our vision of the sun, we say that the sun is covered by the cloud. Krishna says that he reciprocates according to the bhava, to the love of people. Therefore, to non-devotees, he appears as a mortal being. Although he is the source of all bliss, he appears as a giver of misery. Just as the real purity of heart is love, in the same way, the impurity of heart is the offenses. The offenses and their effects were discussed in Priti Sandarbha. Offenses make the heart as hard as a stone. No light can pass through it, and thus one cannot see the beauty, majesty, and sweetness of Krishna. Therefore, a practitioner should guard against all offenses, especially the 10 offenses against the holy name. And I think that's a good place to stop for today. So, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe, Jai Jai Sri Radhe.